Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Artist Spotlight Show with your friend Russell K. Coming to you live from the Music Dreams USA Radio Studios in Palm Beach, South Carolina. Tell you what the temperature going to. It is sunny and 92 degrees in Myrtle Beach. Welcome to the show. Our show is being brought to you by Music Dreams USA Radio Worldwide, Table and Mike Productions, which is a subsidiary of Eagle Street Corporation up in Asheville, North Carolina. Biker Bay Barber and Company, and as I mentioned, Music Dreams USA Radio. And on the show today, we have got a treat for you. Her name is Kim Langling, and she is used to did some service in the Air Force. She has a few different podcasts. She does some TV shows as well, and she's been a big inspiration to many authors just like herself. We're going to find out a little bit more about that. Up to this morning, what is she up to? What's going on? And we're going to find out this and much more as the Artist Spotlight Show rolls on right now. And now, without any further ado delay, what do you say? Oh, before we go, special thank you to Mickey and his amazing team for supplying all of our artists on the Artist Spotlight shows. Mickey, I know you're watching, and so thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for all you do for Music Dreams USA Radio. We are so thankful. Miss Kim, good morning to you. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing today?
Well, we're just like living the dream. Hopefully, one day to live your dream.
Living the
How you
dream,
doing?
baby.
That's right. Well, so as we were talking off the air, you've had such an amazing career. You had some abuse earlier in your life. You kind of like use that abuse and you turn it into a very successful career. You have a successful podcast right now. You do some TV shows. You've been an inspiration to other authors as well. So what do you say? Let's kick off our show this morning. Could you maybe share with our audience, you know who is Kim Langling, and how did you get started, and where are you right now today?
Well, I am just a dork from Northwest Pennsylvania. I have a weird, somewhat dark sense of humor. Um, I am an Air Force veteran, did experience a traumatic event while serving, and took years to process that. I buried it for a very long time, which is, of course, unhealthy. But I had other veteran brother and sisters that recognized signs years and years later and said, hey, Kim, you got to go talk to somebody, because I wasn't doing well physically or mentally. And so I can never, ever thank those veteran brothers and sisters. They're actually Vietnam combat vets, by the way, that noticed the signs in me that I was struggling. So I can never thank them enough, So taking that feels like it was kind of the start of this journey of mine, of the beginning of kindness, and I need to be a nugget of hope, because there's a lot of people out that are struggling with many, many things, sadness, grief, trauma, you name it. And if you're not struggling with it now, you will at some point, because life is hard and life is not easy all the time. And we're not promised an easy road, of life. So my outlook on it is, pull up your big girl pants. You got to keep on keeping on. You just have to. I know not everybody's mindset is like that, but that's mine. So that's how I've been able to get through with a great support system. And I took that years later and started writing, not seriously, just, for the heck of it. And I gave a speech. I guess this is really where it really started. I gave a speech years ago at a veteran event, very large. There was about 800 veterans there. It was a motorcycle run. And we had the replica of the Vietnam moving wall there. So I was sharing the story of my step-great-grandfather, who was the last World War I veteran from my area. And he had passed, but I was sharing his story of his service. And it's an amazing story. It's called The Last Man of the Last Man's Club. And it truly is an amazing story. So I shared that I wrote that speech and shared it. I'd never spoken public before. I had really never written anything before. And afterwards, it was very, very well taken. People were crying, clapping, wanting to talk to me afterwards. I was overwhelmed, to be honest, because I was so nervous and thinking, oh, you know, did I do any good? But afterwards, the local newspaper, I think it was the editor, approached me and said, you know, would you consider doing a monthly article for the newspaper, for the local newspaper? And I said, oh, I'm not a writer, but boy, thanks. That's awful nice, you know? And he said, well, who wrote your speech? And I said, well, I did. And, you know, worked on it for weeks because I didn't know what I'm doing. And he goes, no, you're a writer. And he saw something. I think that's what it took. Someone else that I didn't know saw something in me that I didn't realize I had, a gift that I had been given that I didn't realize I had. And so it was from that moment on, I wrote a monthly article on veterans and interviewed dozens and dozens of veterans for the next 14 years. And blessing after blessing after blessing. I tell you, boy, the stories, the stories. We have to remember to talk to our veterans and hear their stories. We got to do that before they're all gone. But so I did that for 14 years. And that was pretty much like my little jumping board that got me really looking at, you know, hey, maybe I can write. Maybe I do have something to say, you know, so that's kind of where it started.
Wow.
In a rambling answer, if that was a very rambling answer. So there you go.
No, I love it. But I want to talk about your other podcasts. When Grace Found Me, When Hope Found Me, and Paul Prince on the Couch and Nuggets of Hope. Let's talk about those programs because those have been very inspirational, and it's reached many people, and it's blessed a lot of
Those
people.
are books. Those are actually books.
Yeah, I know. They are
You
books,
said
exactly.
you said podcast.
I know. I was just testing to make sure you know what I'm saying. But I mean, they've been amazing books, and you know, it's touched many people in around the world. Let's talk. Look, what type of feedback have you gotten from these amazing books, and um, what are you doing as of today?
The When Grace Found Me series, that happened during the pandemic, you know, when the world changed and closed. And I got online because I wasn't used to being stuck in the house, you know, doing nothing. And I had lost my job like millions and millions of others did at that time. It was just a very weird time. So I got online and joined a few women in business networking groups. And I met a lovely lady from England, and her and I clicked. We were both Christians. We both had this heart for sharing stories, and she was starting up her own small publishing company at that time. And I said, well, what can I do to help? And how can we, you know, what can we do? And so we met over, you know, over Zoom, and got to know each other very well, became very dear friends, and decided to start the Grace series, which was When Grace Found Me, volume 1, 2, and 3, and then When Hope Found Me. And they're anthologies. So they are women from all over the world sharing their stories of when Grace found them. So whether they went through trauma or not, you know, they're short reads. Think like Chicken Soup for the Soul type books, short reads, you know, no more than 1,500 words. You can read a story in probably 5 minutes. You can carry that book with you in your purse or your tote bag while you're waiting for the kids to get done with ball practice, you know? So those stories, they're hard hitting. Some of them are really hard hitting. So you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, and experience all different kinds of emotions, but it's real people sharing real stuff that's relatable to the person that's holding the book in their hand. You might not relate to every story, but you're going to relate to at least one. And the feedback that we've received from those over the years has been amazing. There was one young lady that she didn't want to share her name, and that's perfectly fine, but she did reach out and said that one of the stories that she read stopped her in her tracks because she'd been experiencing something that was very, very difficult for her. And she had decided that she just wasn't going to go on anymore.
Oh, wow.
And somehow she got this book in her hand. I don't know if she bought it or someone gave it to her. Because I'm always encouraging people, hey, if you're done with it, you don't, you know, pass it on to others, because it's going to land in the hands it's supposed to be. And this young lady shared that the story that she read was the one thing that made her realize, wait a minute, I can stay around. Maybe I'm supposed to stay around. So that was pretty darn heavy. It was pretty heavy, but it was also amazing. And I'm like, well, look at God do his thing, you know? And
Amen.
so that's what I always hope, am I the best writer? Absolutely not. I need to learn more. I need to get better and just keep writing. I'm not going to get better unless I keep writing and sharing other people's stories and helping them get their stories out there. Because I'm all about that, because there's too much negative in the world. And the stories I want to get out there are about overcoming stuff or just good stuff that you're doing. It's like, hey, share the good news, man. Come on. People need it. People need to hear it, because all those people out there that you pass on a street that got smiles on their face, you have no
I don't
idea.
know.
You have no idea what's going on in their lives. So, yeah.
I mean, you could have said it any way better. I mean, people are smiling, but underneath that smile is a lot of hurt and pain, and people may
Yeah.
be just afraid or embarrassed, to let their true feelings be known. And one verse that I live on: Jesus is never late, but he's always on time. And does that what I just said, does that not match to what you just said about a girl who's thinking about suicide? She gets your book in her hand, and it stops her from going further to commit suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, how powerful is that? I mean,
I know.
exactly. Your books are reaching, and that's my point. Your books are reaching people who really need it the most right now. They're going through God knows whatever, and it's a storm. Soon that storm is going to pass. But the thing is, how can you endure the storm for how long it's going to last? And
Yeah.
you need outlets to reach out to. Well, it's a book. And we're going to talk about your podcast now where it says let fear bounce. So you got books, you got an amazing podcast. So you're getting the message out there. So let's switch gears now. Let's talk about your podcast, Let Fear Bounce. Tell me more about that.
That too started in 2020. Because I had to have something to do during the day. I had found myself at a point in life, I had lost my job. I'd never been in that position before. So I was like, oh my goodness, in this season of life, this is what's happening. Wasn't just me, I know that, but it was like, what the. And so I started the podcast then. I had no idea. I had a really old laptop, just no camera, no microphone. And I literally Googled how to do a podcast. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, but I had to find something to do. I had told myself, like, when I lost my job, the world was closing, all the doors were closing, and you're like, the world was feeding us fear. And they did that by design. That's my opinion only, but that was designed to feed everybody fear. Well, I wasn't taking it. I wasn't going to accept that fear. And so I kept saying to myself, I am letting this stuff bounce, man. There's just no. Turn off the TV, get rid of cable, stop listening to them, because they're just feeding fear. I have family members that are so fearful now, they're anxious and anxiety ridden and have to go to the doctor and get anxiety medication that they'd never had to be on before. So I was getting angry. I was getting a little frustrated. And I said, not letting that bounce. So literally got rid of cable, stopped watching TV, stopped listening to most things, radio, and just curated what I was going to watch. And I thought, well, how can I be something positive out in the world? And I'm like, what's this podcast stuff? So I gave myself 24 hours when I lost my job, 24 hours to be angry. I said, Kim, 24 hours. That's all you're giving yourself. Be angry. And I did that for 24 hours, and I did it really well. And then after 24 hours, the next day I woke up, sat up on the edge of my bed, and literally said, okay, Kim, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? And what are you passionate about? I asked myself those three things. And I said, figure that out, pull up your big girl panties, and let's get going. So I came into this used to be an extra bedroom, and I just got on this kick. I'm like, this is now my office. Whatever it's going to be an office for, I don't know, but I cleared everything out bedroom related because, I have an empty nest now. So turned it into my office, got on my really old crappy laptop that barely worked, and
Oh
looked up
no.
how to do a podcast. And the first few episodes, I used that podcast or that laptop. They're awful. They're horrible. The sound is awful, but I did it. Didn't matter how awful it was. You're not going to progress and learn unless you start doing it. So 6 years later, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it very simple, but I have a new laptop and I have a camera and I have a microphone now, and lights and things like that. But that's how that started. It was because of the space I was in at my life and realizing this season in my life in my 50s. I'm like, I'm not letting the world kick me down. No, I'm going to let that bounce. And that's how the name of the show came about, was Let Fear Bounce, because of that particular season that I was in 6 years ago.
Wow, what a great story. I mean, this has been that's one thing I love about our show. And I'm sure you can attest to that as well, where you get some really neat, amazing people on the show that has some amazing stories to share. And wow, you certainly have not disappointed. With that being said, what does your when you get ready to write a book or maybe to produce something? Where do those thoughts come from? Do they come from personal experiences, or I mean, are there characters involved maybe that are kind of like related to what you're going through? What does that look like for you?
I typically write, well, I have been writing nothing but nonfiction. So it's all life experience or witnessing others' life experience. And a lot of the ideas come, I walk my dog. I have a dog, his name's Dexter, and we walk a couple miles every morning, first thing. That's what we're out there a lot of times before the sun's up. We're watching the sun come up as we're walking. So we'll go a couple miles. And that's where I need to be, is outside, because that's where I breathe and that's where I pray. And a lot of times on those walks, when you're out in nature, and I live in the country, so when you're out in nature, everything is quiet, especially in the morning, just as the world's waking up. The birds are just starting to chirp. The frogs are starting to do their little thing. Where I walk, there's several ponds. So I see geese and ducks. I see baby fox every once in a while. I see deer with their babies. It's all very gentle and peaceful, and the way it's meant to be. And so that's where I breathe and find the peace most of the time. That's where I find it. And that's where a lot of different ideas come from. Like, well, Mal, maybe, watching those ducks, as they're gently floating across the pond and those little ripples that come out from their little feet just going like crazy underneath the water. But watch nature, watch animals, how they treat each other, how they care for each other, how they protect each other, and if you watch that, you're like, well, why aren't humans more like that? Animals, the animal kingdom really knows what they're doing. And that's done by design. God made them that way for an exact reason. We weren't meant to be divisive and have hate and harm each other. That's not what we were made for or meant for. So why are we doing it? I'm no saint. Please don't think I'm sitting here saying I'm perfect or I'm no saint. But watching nature for me is where I get a lot of my ideas of stuff I want to write about for the nonfiction things, or some of the stories I might share in my blogs or in other people's anthologies that they might be coordinating. I share, that's where that comes from. Fiction, I have written a fiction book. It's written, but that's it. It's not edited. It's not ready for anything, but it's written. And that came to me on my walks. And that's been fun because it does have characters and wood sprites. And there's just a smidge of magic in there, and shares a little bits about who's truly in control of it all, and it's also a lot of how the animals talk to each other and how certain ones can talk to humans and teach the humans lessons, because humans are pretty stupid sometimes. So,
Let me ask you: do you really think the animals can speak to humans in a way?
oh, I absolutely know they do, because they do for me. I
Give me an
absolutely know
example.
that. I have had animals come up to me that shouldn't want to come up to me. They
Give me
just
an
do.
example.
Birds. Watch birds, folks. They are amazing. I've had deer come up to me with their babies to show me their babies, to introduce their babies to me. That takes a lot of trust. My dogs,
Wow.
my dogs have been very, very intuitive of me. My last two dogs. So I live with PTSD from a military experience, and they are very in tune with me. So there are times you can look at your dog and you're like, you know exactly what he's thinking, or he's just saying, "All right, come on, mom, time to settle, or let's go for a walk. You need to get back outside." You know, you just have to watch and listen. You have to keep your eyes and your heart open. And so many folks have forgotten to do that. We weren't born thinking how we think now. We were born with an open heart, and it gets closed as we get older because life, we're taught to close certain things off. Like the example of mama deer. I have deer go back through the back part of my property every night at dusk. I do feed all the critters, so they know where the food is. But these they come through, and I saw this mama, and I'm like, "Well, you look like you're going to have a little one any day now." And I know that some when they are pregnant, some of them they have them out behind my shed in the back, and I always steer clear of that in the spring and keep my dog away from there. And I hadn't seen her for a while, and I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, she hasn't been through for like 4 or 5 days. Where's she at? And I'm sitting out on my back deck, and all of a sudden I hear this noise, and I look up, and here comes the doe peeking out of the tall weeds coming out of the woods.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I said, "Well, hey, look at you. Welcome back. Where you been?" And then right behind her, her teeny tiny little fawn that was probably 2 or 3 days old because it was like all gangly legged. And I
Oh,
went, "Oh my goodness, you're introducing your baby to me. Thank you." And she literally just stood there and stared at me. And the baby's just kind of, being a baby. And then she just kind of snorted and nudged her baby, and they turned and they went back in the woods. And I was like, "Oh, she just came to introduce to show me her baby."
wow.
How awesome is that?
That's amazing. And as I'm hearing you tell that story, we have a dog, and his name is Taurus. And when I'm on the road traveling, he knows when I'm coming home. And then when I am home, he won't go outside until I go outside with him. And when I go outside with him, he's a hunter kind of hunter breed dog where he's just that's just who he is. I go outside with him, and he'll go around the yard hunting and everything, and he'll look at me, and then and then he would love to wrestle with them, and and he'll talk to me, goes ruff 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 ruff, and I know he's talking to me, right? So I kind of I totally agree what you're saying. Like animals in their own way, they know they have a way of how they can relate to humans, but as you mentioned, a lot of times we just really ignore it, like, oh, that ain't, that's fiction, that's not going to happen, and whatever. But I'm on board with you. I do believe it does.
Well, they can teach us all kinds of lessons. Well, that's
Oh
why I
yeah.
wrote the book. That's why I wrote the book 15 Ways Pets Teach Us Kindness. Because I'm thinking people need to open up their hearts and open up their eyes. You just have to look. And I know people are like, "Well, I live in a city and I'm not around the country and I don't see animals." Well, the city has birds, you know. You can find a park, just sit. You need green, you need space, you need air. You need it, period. I don't care where you live. You need that. And if you don't have something close by, I'm always saying, then create it in your apartment. You have a studio apartment, get 4 or 5 plants, put them in a corner by the window, and that's your green spot. Sit by that 10, 15 minutes a day and just breathe, because those plants are providing oxygen in your tiny little apartment. I mean, it's all done, it's made by design. It's designed the way it's meant to be. So it's scientifically proven being outdoors, getting that fresh air, being around green stuff, grounding yourself. It's all there for a reason. So get out there and just breathe in with the good and out with the bad. That's what I'm always saying. And while you're at it, toss out a nugget of hope for somebody else.
I love it. You've had such an amazing career. Let's take a step down memory lane. As you're walking back towards memory lane with all the amazing things that you've been blessed to do, are there any few of those memories that stand out to you even today? If so, which ones are they, and why are they so special to you even as we're speaking today?
The first book that I was ever in that I was, published in, I wrote a chapter in an anthology called Inspire. And there was 20 other women. That was the first, that's what got me into anthologies. I just love them, and coordinating with other people to get their stories out there. But I had been asked to participate in this one. It was the first time I'd ever done that. I'd never been published, didn't know what I was doing. I was very nervous, and I didn't know if I was ready to share my story. Um, and I did share it, but in a very general way. But it was still very hard to do. And so in my local area, you set up your own, for something like that, you set up your own little book tour. So I just, I was invited to go speak to women's groups, to go speak at libraries, to go speak to like flower groups, women gardening groups at different churches and things like that. So I kind of did my own little, book tour in my small local very rural area. And I was at a church, and it was a book club, a ladies' book club that met at this church once a month, and they asked me to speak. And I brought that book and shared the story. And I was sexually assaulted by two gentlemen used lightly, while I was in the service. That's as general as I can make it. So I shared that story, and that I had written about. And afterwards, I mean, it was very well received, and afterwards, I'm always surprised and devastated at the same time at how many other women come up and say the same happened to me. I mean, it's just awful. It's awful. But one woman, golly, she's not even with us probably anymore, because she was in her late 80s at this time, and this was a long time ago. She came, oh my goodness. She came up, I get worked up. She came up to me afterwards. They were starting to clean up, and most of the other women had left. They were going on their way home. And she came up to me and she said, "I'd like to buy, a copy. Would you please sign it?" And I said, "Absolutely. What's your name?" And she just gave me her first name. So I signed it and gave her the book. And she said, "Do you mind if I give you a hug?" I said, "Absolutely not." And she was just this beautiful, I mean, like stunning older woman in her 80s, just stunning. And she leaned in and gave me a hug. And as she hugged me, she whispered, she goes, "The same happened to me, and I've never told a soul for 70 years. You're the first."
Wow.
That, I cried all the way home. I had a 25-minute ride home. I cried all the way home. The weight that this woman carried, she's now in her 80s, and she carried for over 70 years. She didn't have
Wow.
to give me details. She didn't have to give me anything. That's all she said. The same happened to me over 70 years ago. And she thanked me for having the courage to share my story. Because different generation, you probably didn't tell anybody, and she's in her 80s. Way different back then. Way different back then. So that is
Wow.
one story that I know it impacted her, because she'd never told anyone. And if I'm the only person she ever even, and she whispered it, she didn't even speak it out loud. So it was like still a secret, you know? I very well might be the only person she ever shared that with. And I gladly took that. I gladly accepted it, cried all the way home, and thanked God for putting me in front of her, because apparently she's the one I was supposed to be in front of that night. She was meant to
Wow.
have a copy of that book. I tried to give it to her. She wouldn't accept it free. She wanted to pay for it, but I'm like, please just take it. But yeah, that's one that has stayed and will stay with me. That's not ever going to go away. And she's probably since passed. And I pray every once in a while when she comes across my mind, I pray that the rest of her journey was a peaceful one.
That's amazing. What a great story. And my next question is, if you had to pick someone that you like to sit down with dinner over and someone who you could collaborate with, who would it be and why?
Wow. I don't really know. I honestly don't know. There are amazing authors out there, but I don't know if it's an author I'd want to sit with. Anyone that's like recent, no interest. You know,
Tell me
I
why.
want to.
Tell me why.
It seems like there's too much entitlement out there. Feels like it feels icky. I don't want to sit and talk to someone that gives me the ick. You know? I want to.
Oh, we got the
I mean,
tick.
it could be, you know who I would absolutely love, and I mean, because, and I don't look at famous. I'm not impressed by famous people at all. I'm not impressed by loads of money or people that consider themselves famous. That's not impressive to me. What impresses me is, are you kind? Are you good to people? Are you good to animals? Do you treat your family with love and kindness? That to me is what gets you to the next step. Money you can't take with you. You know, power you can't take with you. And
Here today, gone tomorrow.
it's all very fleeting. You know, your looks are very fleeting. Spend all the money you want on that, but it's still fleeting. You're still going to age. You know, so I would love, honestly, I would love to sit down with both of my grandmothers because they had both completely different world experiences. One came over, her family came over at the beginning of World War II from Poland. So a lot of my family on that side, Polish Jew, you can't find any record of them because I've tried. That was in the, late 30s, early 40s. If you know your history, you know why it's hard to find people. And then my other grandmother, probably one of the both of those women were two of the strongest women I've ever known. And I never got the chance as an adult to hear their stories, to hear their history. And that is what, if I could, however, go back or was granted that, one day I'll see them again. I know that one day I will. But on this earthly plane, it would be nice to sit with them, have coffee. They were both outdoorsy people. My one grandma was just amazing in the kitchen. I mean, I miss her cooking. It's always like, wow, how did grandma make that? I try and it never turns out like grandma did. But I would love to hear more of their stories because they lived through the Depression, World War II. They lost loved ones. Yeah, I would like to hear their stories because how awesome that would be to hear them and to be able to share them. That's who I would want to sit with, is my grandmas. Yeah.
Wow. You are so amazing. It's like I want to jump through the screen, just give you the biggest hug and say, man, keep on going what you're doing. You're an amazing person, man, and you're so down to earth and you're so real. It's the first time that we've met you, but I'm going to say it live on the air. You are so real, and you are so kind. You have a big heart, and you're using the blessings that God gave you to reach out to other people. Twice during this interview, you've touched people in ways that they will never forget, and that's twice during this time that the short time we've been together. I can only imagine how many other people out there that you've touched but haven't come forward yet. And so again, thank you for what you're doing. I mean, unbelievable. This is amazing. So with that being said, um, how can our listeners get in contact with you if they want to get a book or whatever the case may be? How do they do that?
The easiest place is to just go to my website, which is my name. It's kimlanglingauthor.com, kimlanglingauthor.com. My all the episodes of the podcast are on there. My books are on there. The links to go to Amazon, because that's where my books are, is on Amazon. I do self-publish. I have a blog on there, and you can also meet Dexter because he is my office manager. He keeps me on track. He lets me know when I need to go for a walk, when I need to get something to drink, and when I need a snack. So you can meet Dexter on there as well. kimlanglingauthor.com.
Hey, is Dexter there right now?
He's downstairs sleeping. He doesn't like when I do this.
Oh, I still want to meet Dexter.
I know everybody does. He used to sleep in a chair behind me, but when I record, he gets up and leaves because he doesn't understand, why am I talking to this black square? And it annoys him. He literally will go, like this again, and he walks out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dexter's the man. I love that. I absolutely love that. So here's our question for you. We're to give you the floor. I'm going to step aside and give you the floor. Is there anything that you want to discuss that maybe we haven't discussed yet, but maybe it's something on your heart that you want to share with the audience are watching now that will be watched a little bit later? The floor is yours.
Okay. Be a nugget of hope, folks. Um, People always ask me, well, how can I be a nugget of hope? I don't know what to do. I don't have money to give people stuff or anything like that. You don't have to. Smile at a stranger, hold the door for a stranger. And one of my all-time favorites, compliment a stranger. Because I said earlier, you don't know what people are going through because we all put a mask on when we walk out the door every day. We do, whether you admit to it or not. So just be kind. Just be kind, because I was told once, and this has stayed with me. Someone said to me, not in a nice way, why are you always trying to be so good? And I was literally taken aback by that. And I went, what do you mean? Why wouldn't I want to be good? Why wouldn't I want to be kind? Why do you see that as a negative? So I can't change. And then it was said to me, you think you can change the world? I went, no, I can't change the world. And neither can you. But by golly, we can change our small slice of the world for the better. And why wouldn't we want to? So get out there, be kind, and make a difference, and make your small slice of the world a better place. If we all start doing that, can you imagine what the world would be?
Great point.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, I was at a gas station and I was walking out the door, and this gentleman was walking towards me. So I kept the door open for him, and he's walked by. I said, "Sir, I hope you have a great day." Turn around, like he had that looks like, "Who are you? I never met you before, right?"
Yeah.
And I kind of said, "It's like, well, I know you don't know me, but do me a favor." He's like, "What? Can you maybe hold the door open for a stranger next time for me?" He kind of hesitates. He's like, "I got you."
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah.
Just doing the little things. Was letting someone in. You're in traffic, right? Let someone in, or you know, an elderly lady shop cart is full with groceries. She's by herself. Help. Hey,
Yeah.
can I help you?
Yeah.
And just do stuff like that. And it's one thing leads to another, right?
It does. It does. See, be a nugget of hope. I actually hand these out to people.
Oh wow, I want one of those.
I am, and I typically don't give them to people I know. I feel very nudged when I'm out and about. I always carry them. And when I'm out and about, that's why I'm always saying nugget of hope. And when I'm out and about, I get this nudge and I know it's from God. It's like that person needs hope today. And I've been doing that. That's another book that I wrote called Nuggets of Hope. And
I see it's right here. I was asking about that too. It's right on
yeah,
my cheat sheet.
it shares stories over the last couple years. I've been doing about 3, and that book, it was out about a year ago. So those first 2 years, it shares some of the stories and interactions I've had with these people. Again, they're strangers, don't know them. Um, I've had anything from laughter, tears, hugs, anger. I've run the whole gamut of emotions from people. And I don't sit there and chit chat and stick around to get their name or their story. I literally strongly feel I'm just supposed to give them that nugget of hope. What they do with it is on them. But I did what I was supposed to do, and I just wish them a blessed day, and I walk away. And sometimes by the time I get to my car, I'm crying because
Oh,
whatever they were carrying is very heavy, and I could feel it. I'm very empathetic, and I think that's a lot of like, if I'm in Walmart and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, she needs a nugget of hope today. And
wow.
I feel it so strongly. And those are the people that I approach and say, hey, I'd love to give you a nugget of hope. Not one person in all these years has not held out their hand and accepted it. I'm a
That's
total
amazing.
stranger. So a small slice of the world, just that small slice of the world, you
That
know?
is so amazing.
So do what you can. People are like, I can't purchase those. You don't have to. Like I said, and like you were saying, hold the door for someone. Wish them a good day. Wish them a blessed day. And I've found a lot of people are like, I don't want to come across as churchy or preachy. I don't want to say bless you and all. And I'm like, well, why not? Why not? Me as a Christian, I will always wish someone a blessed day. And that person that you're wishing a blessed day, that might be the mustard seed that they need. You have no idea. You have no idea what your actions and your kind words can do for someone's life, not just that day, but for their life. So come on, people, let's be good humans.
I love that. And well said. Christianity is more important now. Not that it's never been important before, but the world that we're living in right now, it just, anything that's crazy is happening right now.
It's
Every, every which way but loose.
all
And,
backward.
and, you know, before I came on the show live, Brandon Lake is a Christian artist. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yep.
And he was on TikTok and he was talking about, the darker that the world gets, the lighter it gets for Christianity. And what he meant by that was all the darkness in the world right now is an opportunity for the Christianity light to shine upon the world and let people know that no matter what they're going through, God is there. As I mentioned earlier in my show, my favorite line, Jesus is never late. He's
Yes.
always on time. And I thought about his conversation and about my favorite verse. And does that not coincide or not? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it does.
What,
And
what do you
my favorite is Isaiah, but those who hope in the Lord will soar on wings like eagles.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to soar? You know,
Mhm.
you don't want to feel oppressed and down and anxious and depressed and sad and lonely. You want to soar. We were meant to soar. We were meant to fly, folks. So help each other. Help each other to
Yeah.
fly. You know.
Since we're talking about Christianity, we interview a lot of musical artists, right? And I love Christian music, don't. But one thing that I do question is the platforms in which they play on. You got For King and Country, right? That's a Christian band. But one thing I like about those guys is they not only perform on Christian platforms, they also perform on secular platforms. And their message is we are a Christian band, but how are we going to get the message out if we just continuously play on a Christian platform where
Right.
people already have been introduced to God? They know who He is. It's their choice whether they want to take Him or not. And our job is to get the word out there. Our job is to get the message out there. That's why they play on secular platforms to get the word out. Because that's how you're going to reach people who may never have the opportunity to know who God is and what
Right.
He can do for your life. Is that a true
Well,
statement or not?
no, it is. And I think one thing that's actually good about this time that we live in is the availability for anyone to listen to whatever. So you don't have to tune into a specific radio station. You can actually get online and listen. And that's how I've found a lot of the artists over the years, Christian artists that I like to listen to. But I purposely went looking for them. But how often do secular radio stations say, "Hey, yeah, we want your Christian music on here"? That's an honest question because I don't know how any of that works.
Mhm. It's the platform. It's their platform. Each secular station they have their own platform. They have a certain limit as to music they're going to play. But on Music Dreams USA Radio, our motto is we play everything for everyone. And when we say everything, that includes Christian music, good uplifting music. We don't play any music that's going to be offensive to somebody or kill your mom, kill your dad. You
Right.
can take that music and go somewhere else with it because it's not coming here. And that's kind of like that's kind of where what our thought process is behind that. And I would just like to see more Christian artists not just play on the Christian platform, but take the gift that God gave you, the music He gave you, and go out to places maybe you may not feel comfortable with, but that's your job, that's your duty. You have a song, you have a talent, and God's giving you that talent to reach out to places maybe you're not comfortable with. But that's how you're going to reach people and introduce them to Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, my stance on it is very strong. You can agree to disagree with me all you want all day long, but if you go back and look at the Bible, if you look back, what does it say in the Bible? God gives you opportunities, and what you do with those opportunities is up to you. You
Yeah.
can either take the opportunities, or you can just say, thanks, but no thanks. I don't, what, I just don't feel comfortable doing that, and no, I'm going to stay in my little comfort zone.
Well, the way I look at it is when I feel uncomfortable, that means I'm supposed to do it.
Hmm.
you know, that's just how I feel. I mean, and I've done that many times as a Christian. All of a sudden I get this very strong urge. Like the one time I got the strong urge is like, you need to pray for that person. And I was like, okay. And then it was like, no, you need to go to that person and pray with that person. And I'm like, oh, what?
Amen.
But I did
You're
it.
right.
I did it in public and didn't know the person and they didn't know me, but I did it anyway. And I actually was very nervous when I approached and I said, couldn't help but overhear. Do you mind if I pray with you right now? And they said, well, I'm not much of a praying person. And I said, but I am. And I held my hands out and they took my hands and they let me pray over them. And I walked away going, oh, that's why you wanted me to do it. You know, but
Hmm.
that was the first time that it ever happened. It's like, no, you have to, no, don't just pray for, go and pray with, pray over. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? You don't argue with God because you don't win. But in my head, I was like, are you sure, God, this is what you want me to do? you know? Um, and especially when they said, I'm not a praying person. And I said, but I am. And I just held up my hands and they took my hands and let me pray. To me, that's huge. That's huge. Maybe they've never been prayed over before in their entire life.
And that
You
may be
know?
their opportunity.
Yeah. Golly. We have chances every day, folks, to do stuff like that. And I find that exciting. You know? So why not do it? Let's do it.
I'm always afraid that I may miss an opportunity that was meant for me to do.
I
And
think I have. I think I have over the years. Yeah.
and you go back and you think it's like, oh my God, was that a situation I was supposed to be a part of?
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't want to step on someone's foot. I didn't want to offend nobody, or I felt like in my heart to, how you get that feeling like,
Yeah.
I better stay away, and
Oh yeah.
I've had situations like that as well. So as we wind down our interview this morning, and what an amazing interview it's been, I want to talk about Mickey and his amazing team over there. How did you and Mickey and that amazing team? How did you guys connect?
So Mickey Mickelson of Creative Edge Publicity, he is my PR guy. I met him, gosh, it's 4 years now. 4 years ago now, I've been a client of his, and he supplies a lot of the team members. He calls them team, us all team, for my show on Let Fear Bounce as well. A lot of his authors, but I met him because I was on someone else's podcast, and they said, "Have you ever heard of or spoken with Mickey Mickelson?" I said, "No, what's he do?" And they said, "He's a PR guy. You might want to talk with him and maybe he can get some folks, some guests for your show." So they gave me his contact information. It all came about because I was a guest on someone else's show. And here we are 4 years later, both working with each other very closely, you know, and I love it. I have nothing but good things to say about Mickey and Creative Edge. It's been a blessing, to see how he's grown over the last 4 years and how the different artists and authors that he now has as clients. It's been really fun to watch and to be able to interview those people on my podcast as well, just like you do for your show. So yeah, it's been amazing and it's been fun, and I look forward to continuing on with him and meeting even more amazing people.
I am not surprised that you said that, because again, just hearing you talking, right, and how he's been a blessing to your show. He's one of our new partners now on the Outer Spotlight show with Music Dreams USA Radio and Table and Mic Production. I in the next 6 days, we're gonna have like 10 artists that we would have interviewed for him, and there'll be more to come. And you know, he's got a big heart, and he's all about supporting people and helping them. And so I know he's watching now. So on behalf of our team to yours, Mickey, thank you for what you do. Don't ever stop what you're doing. You are a blessing, and you never know how you're blessing someone, but you are. So thank you, and I'm glad you shared that because I'm on board. You know,
Yeah.
I'm on board. But before we go, we have a game. It's called Fun Lightning Round,
Okay.
and you can't see this on your podcast, by the way. No.
I won't. I
No, no, no.
won't.
You're gonna have a copy of this interview. So I'm gonna give you some word choices, right? You have to pick one. All right, so here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, why?
Why? Because it's got some boost to it. Java, 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 Java.
Okay, a morning person or a night owl?
Both.
You only can pick
I don't. I
one.
don't sleep much. Both.
Okay, let's just let on that one. Okay, your favorite book you've ever read?
Oh gosh, I don't have one favorite. I might have a favorite per week. I don't have one favorite.
Okay, this isn't going very well.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
it's going fine. I think it's going fine. Yeah, I don't have an absolute favorite book. Ellen Hildebrand, I really really enjoy all of her books. John
All right, we'll go
Evans,
with that one.
I enjoy his books. So when I read this, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's another favorite. So that's I don't have one single. That's just two. I read 3 books a week, so I don't have one favorite.
Is that all?
If I had more time, see, that's why I'm up late because I'm reading,
There you go.
and then I'm up early because I like to watch the sunrise and go walking with my dog. So,
Okay. A favorite place you've traveled?
Europe.
Any specific part?
I really enjoyed France. There was a small village there called Reims, and it's actually a sister city of a small city from my local area. That's a sister city from World War One, and I was able to go to that very small village and honor my step great grandfather, who helped to liberate and keep that tiny little village safe during World War One. So Reims, France.
Awesome. All right. I already know the answer to this one, but I have to ask it anyways because my producer's watching me right now.
Hi, producer.
He's backstage. He'll never let you see him. All right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I love
There you
all
go.
animals. I love all animals, but I'm allergic to cats, so it's always dogs for me.
Boy, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another one. One word your friends would use to describe you.
Persistent.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. All
I
right.
don't I don't let I don't let roadblocks stop me. Let's just put it that way. If
I
there's a
gotta
way
see
to
that.
help if there's a way to help someone, I will figure it out.
All right. What's one item you'll never leave home without?
My nuggets of hope.
Oh, great answer. I like that. All right. If your life, this is the final one now. If your life had a theme song, what would it be and why?
Because
Oh, Rocky.
that's like me running up those steps. Keep going, just keep going. Even when it's
Okay.
hard, especially when it's hard, keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts as we wind down our show? And this is like one of those interviews that you wish would never end. So we're going to talk to Mickey because he would, he helps you and I out a lot. So we're going to talk to Mickey and see if we can come up with a part 2 with you. But until then, as we wind down our show, Any final thoughts from you?
Just do the best you can, folks. Don't judge yourself, don't judge others. But here's something that was said to me. Actually, a counselor said this to me when I was in a really tough spot, and um, I was speaking to a counselor, and they said, Kim, because have a tendency to talk down to myself. We all do that. And she said, Kim, if you step back and look at where you're at now from where you were before, you do realize, don't you, that you have a 100% success rate for getting through the tough stuff because you're still here. Why are you not remembering that? 100% success rate. Doesn't get any better than that. So remember that no matter where you're sitting at, no matter what you're sitting in right now, and you feel like, I'm not going to make it through. Yeah, you are, because you're still right there. 100% success rate. You're still there. Come on, folks. Clap yourself on the back. Give yourself a hug, and keep on keeping on. You can do it. You can do it.
Awesome. It's so nice to meet you. And again, thank you so much for your time this morning. And, blessings to you as you continue with your amazing career. And thank you for all the stories and everything you shared on the show. You know, that's the one thing, as I mentioned throughout the interview this morning, that's what the Artist Spotlight show is all about. And you're a great example of that. So thank you for
Thank you.
that. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a blessed day as well. And you too, Mr. Producer.
Yeah, he's smiling. He's smiling right now. When he smiles, that means I did a good show. When he's like,
Yay.
it was good, but I don't know. But anyways, though, thank you so much. You take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day, and again, you take care. Okay.
All right, you too. Go out there and be a nugget of hope.
That's right. And then that's Kim Langland on the Artist Spotlight Show. Thank you so much to her, and what an amazing interview it was. Do you want to be the next guest on our show? Send your request to info.musicdreamsusa@gmail.com. Our show is being brought to you this morning by Music Dreams USA Radio Worldwide. We play everything for everyone. Table and Mike Productions, a subsidiary of Eagle Street Corporation up in Nashville, North Carolina, and Barker Bay Barber and Company. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Artist Spotlight Show. Have a wonderful day.